Episode number 9, MetaMentors. What do you get when you cross Grand Theft Auto with the Metaverse? You get Wilder World. The very first truly liquid, fully decentralized community-led NFT marketplace was zero platform fees. That is the claim to fame for Wilder World. Ben, on this episode, this metaverse, I don't know if I felt so overwhelmed with a project yet till I got to this one. They just seem to be trying to do everything and anything with this metaverse all at once. They're trying to roll it out, they're rolling it out little by little, but they are tackling so many projects. This one, to me, truly feels like they are going for total immersion. Like if you could wrap your brain around any possibility within the metaverse,
right?
It's like these guys are trying to build it right now.
I was trying to figure out what they were focusing on, because like Facebook's focusing on social media and interacting in there, and some of them are focusing more on gameplay, but this one really is focusing on everything, so it's not focusing on anything. It's just going for everything. Every aspect that we've seen so far, this one has their hand in, which is cool, but it's very ambitious. And that everything that I kept looking up talks about how ambitious this project is, almost with a little bit of skepticism. Nobody's really sure whether or not they're going to pull it off.
I think it was last episode I told you I was interviewing some guests, and actually the guest I had booked, the Wild Bookman, for this episode, he had to cancel at the last minute, but we're going to show some of his content. He has a lot of good stuff he's putting out. So we're going to have some links for him below. But I think I was telling you, I think I mentioned it last episode. The first guy I reached out to bring on the show, he told me, hey, super interested in this. I think they're trying to do too much. I'm probably not the guy you want to talk to. And so that kind of even set the stage. And for me, when I got into this metaverse, after I started to dive in and immerse myself with all the stuff that was going on, I forced myself to step back and try to get a better picture of what was going on here. And moving forward, I'm going to try and implement this process or these questions through all the metaverses, and I'm sure I'll fine tune them. But the 3 questions I'm going to try and answer today. First one, what makes Wilder World different and worth your time or my time as an investor? Number 2, what is the current status and opportunities or the future of metaverse? And number 3, how do you find and navigate Wilder World? Because there was so much stuff there. I kind of kept coming back to those questions instead of getting hopefully drugged down a hole. So I know
that doesn't happen to us.
Oh my gosh.
We've never rambled on.
Well, we're working on it. We're trying. I don't know about you, Ben. I'm trying to get better every episode.
Nope, I'm just going to ramble.
Well, before we start rambling hardcore, why don't I toss it over you for the disclaimer and the news?
All right, thank you. And thank you for everybody who is watching us. Remember, everything that you see on the MetaMentors YouTube channel is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I personally enjoy being a little more reckless in this industry and investing because my timeline, my horizon for a need of a return is way down the line. So I can put some money in. I'm not expecting anything anytime soon. You need to make sure that you're comfortable with any investment decision you make. If I make a decision on here and some of the research and stuff that we've done, and I decide to invest all of my money, and you decide to do what I do, invest all your money, and we both lose it all, I'm not responsible for your half of the money. I'm only responsible for explaining to my wife where my half of the money went. So make sure before you make any investment decision, not just from this channel or anywhere, that you're comfortable with the level of investment you're putting in and the timeline and the horizon you expect to get it back. Don't make any rash decisions just because of something you saw on the internet. Ryan, anything to add to that before I go on?
I think that pretty well covers it.
Okay. Abby has now threatened me now that she's seen some of the money that's coming and going from the account. That should be added into my disclaimer, is discuss with your financial manager / wife
For
before
sure.
any major investment. All right. We're going to start off with some positive news this week in Bitcoin. Well, crypto in whole, but specifically Bitcoin, back up over $40,000 a coin. You never know. The news always gives a reason why it's moving and why, it's hard to really pinpoint one reason for the market moving, but there is some good news coming out of South Korea. The new president, who was just elected this week, very famous for being pro-crypto. He wants it to be a crypto safe space with low regulations, easy taxes, and a good spot to run some crypto businesses. So at least in that country, a lot of positive investment coming because of that news. And it seems to have impacted the industry as a whole. So yeah, that's really good. We're looking forward to that. I think, let's see, his name, South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol. I'm probably saying that wrong, but he moves in May. That's when they start. They just had their election. He was elected this month. So that's looking good for Bitcoin, which is now just over 40,000. Very positive.
Oh, yeah. On the way up.
Yes. Crypto.com, which is my favorite exchange, begins its initial rollout of its exchange in America. I really like mostly their advertising, but I think it's got a great mix between traditional finance. It's going to be the bridge that brings people who are a little nervous about crypto. It's going to be the bridge between traditional finance and crypto investing. And they've begun their initial rollout for people who are not, institutional investors. That's what's doing it right now. So they're opening it up more to the public in America because of the regulations. They've been a little slow to roll out there, but Crypto.com is coming. Their coin right now is at 39 cents, which that one's been as high as 70, 80, or 90 cents. And just recently as low as the low 20 cents. So that's come back up quite a bit also. Plus with the positive news, I really like crypto. I really like their crypto.com, and I really like their advertisements. But watching South Park this week, and I've got a clip for you. All right. I'm gonna have to edit this post production, but it caught me off guard, and I was half asleep on the couch watching it. But
I was just gonna remind you, hey, we're a kid-friendly channel, so
I'm gonna bleep it all out.
What does Matt Damon say on that Bitcoin commercial? Fortune favors the brave. My dad said he listened to Matt Damon and lost all his money. Yes, everyone did, but they were brave in doing so.
I can just keep him home on pajama day?
No, I can't stay home because you have to go to work because Matt Damon told you fortune favors the brave and now you lost all your money.
Matt Damon told me fortune favors the brave and I lost all my fucking money.
We can do this.
We just have to be brave.
But not too brave or else Matt Damon will come and take all our money.
All right, dude, can we lay off the Matt Damon jokes, please? They're just getting old.
Tom, warm up the Wiener Schnitzel and put on your lederhosen because now people are being told to stop making Matt Damon jokes. Opponents are claiming that the jokes are already tired and Matt Damon had every right to make a Bitcoin commercial. So the jokes need to stop.
Now, if that's not bullish for Bitcoin, if you're not getting made fun of by South Park, then I don't even think you're in the pop culture yet. You don't even have enough notice that if they're not taking notice of you, then you're not there yet. So by being torn apart in an episode of South Park means you've officially made it. Crypto.com, that's your bullish signal right there. Invest heavy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Oh, very good.
I couldn't believe it. I kind of went like this, like, wait a minute. He just mentioned Matt Damon. Of course, that's all I'm thinking about lately is crypto. And then they just kept saying Matt Damon told them to invest, and they lost all their money. Anyways, that's it for news. We got 2 positives and 1 South Park negative. So
I say we just start using that South Park clip as our disclaimer.
I think that's a good point. I think I will cut it up a little bit and take out some of the words.
Oh man, you almost hate to do that because it's so damn perfect.
Oh, it is. It is. I'll put a link to that little clip below, but you can watch it at your own peril. But we better not show those words on our channel.
That was a good share. Let's jump into Wilder World. The first question, first answer ask specific questions or answer specific questions like we talked about, Ben. What makes Wilder World different and worth your time, your money, Ben? It is the first 5D photorealistic, fully immersive world. What in the heck does that even mean? The simple version, I know, the simple version, and apparently you may have not heard the words before, but apparently there's content or games and stuff that are kind of pushing this boundary already. So you've probably seen some of this, but the simple way that I figured it out or that I read or was told is that 5D basically just means it's more like an actual video. So almost like you're playing a game, but it's like you're watching a movie, which I feel like we've been there for some time, but apparently not to the level that we're quickly reaching with Wilder World and the metaverse and stuff like that. So it essentially, having that 5D just makes it much more immersive, which if you're going to be in a metaverse, working, playing, gaming, immersive is probably what you want. I mean, you don't want to feel detached. That's the whole idea with VR and some of this stuff. And although VR is not operational on Wilder World, or at least at this point, they're not talking much about it, it is projected for the future. So why is it worth your time? If you're interested in a truly immersive metaverse, Wilder World is a very good start to that. And they are throwing any and everything money and collaboration wise at it. They're working with some of the industry's biggest brands and some of their biggest metaverses. You can probably speak to some of this stuff a little bit better than me. Is it Animoca brands? Yep. Animoca, they're working with Ledger, which is a huge probably leading the metaverse or the industry or leading Web3 as far as security and protecting your assets. Ledger is a big name. This is the first time I came across this, and this is very confusing to me, but there's a protocol they're using it. It's like a cross between social media, a protocol, Discord, Twitter, like everything combined. It's called Zero. Did you run across some of this in your research?
Just glanced across the top of it. I did see that. I don't remember all the different factions that it had, but I do remember the Zero social media.
Yeah, you can join Zero here, and it looked a lot to me like Reddit. But I think the idea behind Zero, the little bit I was playing in it, is that if you take Reddit, but then we're able to actually do some type of programming or interoperability with other players or developers or something like that, that's what Zero is. And I know I'm not doing it justice, because as many times as it came up in my research here, and as many different areas of this Wilder world that it touched, it's a lot bigger than I think what I'm describing, and I could not wrap my hands around it, and I was only going to spend so much time there. So if you're into developing and Reddit and some of that stuff, Zero is probably an area that you'd be very interested in spending some time in. If you look here, this is their main website here. So they have, when I researched their roadmap to see, hey, is Wilder World live right now? Is it coming out this month? Is it coming out 6 months? We're trying to put our fingers on how quickly these things are going to be rolling out so that we can pass it on to our viewers so they can take advantage of that. With their roadmap, they basically said, hey, there's no definitive date that we're rolling out Wilder World. They've already started dropping some of the assets. So far, they've dropped cribs within Miami, which is the main city, the very first city modeled after Miami, a one-for-one. Yeah, a one-for-one map. Apparently it is a exact copy of Miami, although when you watch some of the videos and that stuff, it's very futuristic, futuristic.
Right.
They've dropped cribs within Miami, and so far those cribs are just one tower within, and I think it's called the Cube Tower. Let me see if I can find it here for us. I'm going to go through every link I got. Here we go. So here's Cube Tower. You can buy a condo in here at this time. So a little bit different spin there. Instead of, they're going to roll out lands at some point. You can actually see it listed down here. But as of right now, one of the drops that you can buy are their cribs within that Cube Tower. There's 39 floors broken up into anywhere from 3 to 2, and then the very one top penthouse condo on top. And so you can buy a crib there. You can buy what they're calling crafts, which are, let me go back here. You've got the crafts here, which I don't want to keep playing these videos, but you've got, they're kind of worth watching. But let me, before I actually even play that one. So you've got crafts, they're available, cribs, crafts, wheels are available, which refers to cars. And then also kicks. So shoes are also available. So here's some of the crafts, and the idea behind these are they float, and there's a bunch of them for sale. You're looking at 1.45 ETH. Looks like that's the cheapest one there, and they just keep climbing up from there. 6, 5. They get. I mean, look at this one here. That one is really pretty intricate.
Right, and the way I understood it is the Wilder wheels came first. Those were the cars. And then they released these. The crafts are basically the cars that can elevate. They can go off the ground and because that's how you explore the world, is in your vehicle. And so the cars, unless you get an off-road one, pretty much got to stick to the roads. But these crafts should be a little bit more expensive because you can fly in them, the way I understand it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I scrolled down quite a bit, so we're getting into some of the nicer ones, but this one's going for 8 ETH, or that's what they're asking right now. Yeah, to 21,000. So you're exactly right. These are more expensive See if I can go back. Yeah. The cars, last I looked, I think they were starting at like 0.5 ETH. So roughly $1,200, $1,300, I guess, maybe a little bit more than that now if Bitcoin has gone up, so has ETH. Let's just watch this. That's pretty cool. So there's your crafts. And here are the wheels. Let's take a look at a few of those. Oh, maybe it gives it after there.
Yeah, the way I understood it, the initial run of Wilder wheels, there was 10,101 of them.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was in tier A or spread among A, B, and C, but
yeah,
everything in there is obviously an NFT, so you can store it in your wallet. You could take it off the platform. You can bring it on, but it's an actual 3D movable tires. Everything works. It's a drivable NFT, which I guess you could do with any other NFT, but it's specifically made to look and feel like a driving car that you can get into, but a drivable NFT that you could take over the whole Wilder World map, all over. You could drive all over Miami. That's a pretty cool idea. That's taken Need for Speed and Burnout Revenge. That's taken those video games to the next level. When you own your car, it's an NFT that you actually get to drive. You know what I mean? It's not a picture you hang on the wall. It's not a Bored Ape NFT. It's a drivable NFT that you can take for a spin inside Wilder World.
Yeah, that's that 5D photorealistic, fully immersive. You know, you're driving the vehicle, and if you're like us, we're still, we're barely into this a few months, but if you're brand new into it, watching these videos and your idea of a NFT is JPEG, this should start to stretch your imagination here.
Right. This is a serial number registered parts matching, classic car, a collectible style car that is yours, that you own the paperwork with, that you can park in the garage and have there to look at, or you can take for a drive throughout Wilder World. And that, you know what I mean? Like you said, it takes the JPEG image of an NFT and allows you to start realizing what some of your real options are.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I believe the wheels were the first version that came out. They're also, really comparatively really, really affordable. And then now you've got the kicks, which I'm not a big clothing person. I know a lot of people are, and which explains why they're more expensive than the wheels as far as, ETH and so forth. People are gobbling these up. And here's, let's take a look at it. You can kind of see why.
Oh, that's cool. The only reason I'd see that you would spend that much or more than like a car is because I can see your avatar being that makes more sense if you're going to be moving it around metaverses and moving it to other places. Because imagine your avatar will be more usable than the Wilder wheels or the Wilder craft. You know what I'm saying? Like, I figure your avatar will be in more metaverses and more Web3 platforms than the Wilder craft. So I understand why people would. Just let me know whenever they have the Walmart brand or the New Balance, because my guy, you know, I'm not too concerned. I'm like you. I read and I saw what everybody was talking about, and all the sneakerheads were super pumped about being able to buy these awesome shoes. But I've never cared about shoes in real life or in the digital world. Now, that might change, because one of the reasons I hate shoes in the real life is the first thing I do is walk outside and they start to get dirty. So if I'm walking around in the metaverse and my little lava shoes can stay perfect like that forever, maybe that'll change. But right now, I'm more impressed with the craft and the wheels than I am with the kicks.
Yeah, that just happens to be more relatable. The wheels and the crafts and stuff, are more relatable to guys like you and I. But like you said, if you're a sneakerhead like Patrick Mahomes, then you might be more interested in the kicks. And again, like, if anything, as we do these episodes, the possibilities get stretched more and more. You know, you automatically have a vision of what you think a metaverse is, or maybe you don't at this point. But as you get in here, you have, an idea, and they just keep expanding more and more. And that's a big part of what Wilder World is doing, is their interoperability, the ability to combine with these other brands and work with these other brands. That to this point, Wilder World seems to be doing more of that, or attracting more of the major brands than any other metaverse that we've done to this point. Now, I know we've only done 9 of them, so there's a lot more to go depending on how far we go. And like you've said before, probably for every one we do, there's 2, 3, 5 more that we could get to. But if you look at some of these names, these are, so, we just did Alluvium a couple weeks ago, and Alluvium is they're making Miami their main hub in the metaverse for Alluvium, which I don't quite understand how that all is going to work, but they're going to, you're going to have Alluvium within Wilder World.
Right. I saw that, an Alluvium tower where you'll be able to go into and use the portal for these different rooms to get to Alluvium, which, again, we're the MetaMentors, but neither one of us can even wrap our heads around how this is all going to work. So,
right. And what's the number one rule of investing? Know what you're investing in. And this is, it is very, we've come a long way in the few months that we've been doing this, but man, this stuff is crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And it's so awesome, because I know that I do a lot of research throughout the week on all these new metaverses. And I know you probably do 3 times as much of that. And when I get on and I have a question for you and I'm like, what does this mean? And you're like, I don't know. It goes to show you how far, not in a negative way, how far we are behind, but how smart people are. The people who are in charge of this stuff, the groups that are building this stuff, they are so far ahead. It's awesome, because you don't need to know all the ins and outs of it right now. And once the infrastructure of these metaverses reaches the marketability of a Fortune 500 company, once they are able to explain their message, then then everybody's going to be on board. Like you said, right now, we still have people who think NFTs can be copied by, Control-Alt-C. And you got people who are like, I'm never going to do anything in the metaverse. And they're the same people who said they were never going to buy anything on the computer. And it's like, there's such a disconnect between the majority of the population and the ability that you're going to have in the metaverse. And I think once these two combined, once the average person, including us, starts to understand all of the possibilities that are coming through with metaverses like Wilder World, you're not going to be able to stop it. You wouldn't want to stop it, but you're going to just be so far behind that you're going to be doing it a lot, hours a day.
Yeah, so much of our show is just exposing these metaverses to people so that you can look at it and say, nah, this Wilder World, not for me. I'm going to move on to, or I liked Illuvium better, whatever it is. So we're trying to expose these as we're educating ourselves. That's the premise of our show. Yeah. And so you have to I have to remind myself, hey, I don't need to be involved in all of these. I'm bringing the content and the information and hopefully some opportunities to our subscribers, to our followers. And then, if there's some interest, I move on down, for like Illuvium. I plan to buy some land in Illuvium if it works out the way it looks like it's gonna. Now I'm moving on. So again, there's, we're barely touching on this stuff. So if you're finding some interest with Wilder World, I'm getting ready to touch on how to, get more information. But I just had to point out that I ran across that Jake Paul is going to start hosting fights within Wilder World. He's going to have some type of, I don't know if it's arena or show or what it is, but there's that's coming down the pipe also. So Wilder World just working with the biggest names in the industry, collaborating. Blocktopia was another one. Blocktopia is going to have a direct connection on Wilder World. So there's a lot going on here.
Vayner NFTs, that's Gary V, which is awesome. That's probably one of the first things that you and I really connected on at the fire station was when you told me who Gary V was. Yeah, and I started watching him, and I was like, oh yeah, and obviously he's had a ton of success with his NFTs. So a great person to be partnered up with. Anywhere that Gary Vaynerchuk is going is worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. You can, 100%. So let's move on down. So that's some evidence of what makes Wilder World different, why it might be worth your time as a player or an investor. The status and opportunities. There's Wilder World, like a lot of metaverses, is doing constant giveaways, constant contests to get people involved. You can find those on Twitter. You can find it on Wilder World's Metaverse. You can go to their website. We're going to provide some links like we always do for these different things. They've got this Wilder World Wiki, which I guess is kind of like their version of Wikipedia. I don't know that for sure, but that's the way I took it. And you can find, if you're interested in reading up on Wilder World, this is a very good resource here. So we'll provide a link for that so that you can find. But really, the opportunity, the status with this is they've started. The metaverse is not playable yet, but they've started to roll out the cribs, the crafts, the wheels, land, and pets is coming down the road. Yeah, and this was an area I didn't know how far you were going to go into some like the pets and some of that stuff, if at all. But we can provide some links. But that everything they're pumping out is cool. I don't know how many times I can use that word, but these pets that they're rolling out, again, it's a moving, kind of like you were describing the wheels. These are active NFTs that are actually moving and operating. And I just saw a clip that you're going to actually be able to explore Wilder World through the eyes of your pet also.
Oh, interesting.
So, that was like, huge opportunities there. How to find Wilder World and how to navigate it. Again, Twitter continues to be, for the metaverse and Web3, a very good resource. You can go to their actual website here and click on these links here. This will take you down a rabbit hole of information, just overwhelming. So plan on spending some time and pacing yourself as you're going into Wilder World and exploring it, because there's just so much going on. You've got the marketplace here. You've got these Zines that they've been putting out here. And basically these Zines are like weekly updates. This last update was based on the wheels and some of the improvements they've made, some of the changes they're making. The week prior happened to be on the pets. So these Zines are basically just like a weekly update. Very helpful. Here's an older roadmap that talks about the different phases. And again, we'll provide some of these links, but my main point here is I just want you to know there is a ton of content out there that if this, what we're covering right here is of interest to you, you can run down that hole and start exploring stuff. You can go ahead and buy a crib or a craft or wheels or kicks. The pets are rolling out here in like 2 weeks. So that's coming up quickly. So there's an opportunity there, and they're supposed to be fairly affordable. If depending on what that means to you, but they're not supposed to be outrageous. Yeah. So again, lots of opportunities, lots going on there. So as far as coming around, closing up this third, how to find and navigate for Wilder World, the last thing I'll leave you with is content creators. By this day and age, we all know YouTube is an incredible source for this stuff. A lot of times you got to kind of weed through some stuff to see what's actually valuable, what's good content, what's not. The guest that we had scheduled to come on today that had to cancel on us, and the reason he had to cancel on us is because his show is blowing up and his main topic is Wilder World. And the name of his name is Wild Bookman, and we'll provide some links for him. It's Wild Bookman and Bart or Metasync. And their content, they've got a lot of really, really good stuff out there. A lot of the stuff you're hearing from me is content I gathered from them and put together. This site here that we've been reviewing, the wheels and crafts on, that was his doing. This is the Metasync logo here. So just another good resource is, your content creators are putting stuff out. They're doing a lot of the research just like we are. Wild Bookman specializes in Wilder World. So he's a really good resource to look up. That was a mouthful. That was my portion of it, Ben. Lots of opportunities, broken record, just like we've continued to talk about. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to pass it on over to you for tokens and gameplay.
All right. Well, this is one of the things that I am very excited about. Like Ryan was saying, there's a ton of stuff going on in Wilder World. They're trying to do it all, and it's almost hard to wrap your mind around and wonder if they're going to be able to and what part of it I want to be a part of. But one thing, and I mentioned it last week when we were looking at Somnium Space, I really enjoyed their little unofficial car meetups where they were racing and playing, games like that, because I grew up on games like Need for Speed and Burnout. Burnout Revenge was my favorite game of all time. And Somnium Space looked like it did have some good cars. Now, they were kind of doing unofficial racing where they were timing it themselves and just kind of racing around a non-existent racetrack. But Wilder World looks like they've really got, and you could tell by their first NFTs that they released here are the wheels. And they've released over 10,000 unique vehicles that are fully customizable, and it's set up for racing. They've actually got to where you can gamble or that you'll be able to bet on the races. You can bet up to the cost of your car. You can actually bet pink slips so you could win somebody's car. Very Fast and the Furious and Need for Speed Underground. And the graphics looked great. It looked like it was a racing game that they've added the rest of the world onto. You know what I mean? It looks like it was built to be a racing game.
Yeah.
I really like that because it's got the best of both worlds where you can do the missions and you can do the games, you can do the races, you can play against other people, but it also has the open world exploring, and you would get in that same car that you do the race with and you can just drive out of town and go explore the whole Wilder World. And I think that's really cool. They have a token on this one. I'll probably get some of the tokens because they're very affordable right now. But I think on this one, I'm thinking this might be the first one that I buy an NFT because I would love a drivable NFT. Some of these Wilder wheels look great, and it's like racing. I know we're looking to get a little deeper into the metaverse than just the simple racing, but I want to start playing some of these games and really start digging in and seeing what it's like. And this was the first one that I thought, oh man, this looks like a game I could spend some time in. So I'm probably going to get one of these Wilder wheels because I was just very impressed with the gameplay. Like you mentioned with the 5D, and like we've seen now in a couple of the metaverse projects, the graphics are just exquisite, just movie-like, you know what I mean? And the more I was looking into it, they're growing. You'll be able to buy the land. That they don't have a lot of information out on how far outside of Miami they're going, but it's on the Unreal Engine. They're building the whole thing on the Unreal Engine, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the best you could do it on right now. So they've got just absolutely endless possibilities on growing this thing. And so I don't know if one day you'll be able to drive from Miami to, I don't know what the Wilder version of California would be, but I just think, I just think it would be really cool. I really like just driving in the open world. You can do that in some of the GTA games right now. And this is going to have a lot of that similar stuff, but where when you find a project or you find a mission or you get a token or an item, it's yours, not for that mission, but it's an actual NFT. And they have side missions in the open world and side missions with the vehicles. It just seems like I know we say this all the time too. It's more than a game, but what I like about this one is it looks and feels like a game. There's other ones that have games in there, but this is like a game. And it's not a card game. It's not an Axie Infinity or an Illuvium where you're doing the little computer animated battling. This is like racing and driving and actual first person competing.
Do you think part of the attraction is a lot of the vehicles are modeled after like real vehicles, like a lot of your 80s? I noticed there was several 80s themed vehicles. You look at it and you're like, oh, I know what car that is. The label's not there, but I know what that is.
And I wonder if I can find like my first car, you know what I mean? Like in Next Earth, I like to buy places that I've lived before, apartment buildings, and so I wonder if I could get a whole lineup of all the cars that I've owned, and that's what I saw, because the ones we just looked at were very futuristic, very ridiculous hypercars like every other video game. But they also have off-road vehicles, older vehicles, standard vehicles. Oh, nice. So there's really a lot of options. You can really, and not only that, but then they have NFT add-ons, decals, wings, tents, wheels, everything that you want. You can buy the NFT in the marketplace and add it onto your car. So there is a huge draw there just to be able. I'm just picturing Burnout Revenge on the Xbox and wondering how cool it would be if I could play against my friend while racing for actual pink slip, where I could win his digital vehicle.
Well, and then you hop out of your wheels with your kicks on,
right.
Your avatar that you own. It's a full on emotional, immersive experience.
Have a post-race party at my crib. And if I've won enough cars, I can sell them and buy some land. It's we keep talking about, we are just kind of hitting the surface on some of these. And my big thing is the tokens. And I'm trying to acquire as much tokens for as many universes as possible. But occasionally I'm going to want to dip into some of these. And I was pretty interested in Somnium Space because of the racing. But when I saw this one, I was like, well, if I'm looking for something for racing and for driving, I think Wilder World might be where I'm looking. So they've got the crafts, but they're coming out with bikes, Wilder Moto. So like motorcycles, yachts, just different sized boats and stuff. So I assume they're eventually going to have yachts that you can have, you know, like a crib, like a floating on water crib / boat. In the gameplay, they had missions that were called heists, where they're actually somewhere in the map, they've hidden high value NFTs that you can get with your team, and you guys compete with other teams and actually go try to find these real world valuable items in the metaverse.
I saw that, and I was wondering, that was one of the many areas I didn't even have time to go down, but I saw that the high steel, and immediately I was like, oh, what's this? Click. Start reading. I was like, I got to focus here, back to the cribs.
That's what I did with the lands and the cribs, because I was like, I know Ryan's going to be reading that stuff, so I'm going to try to focus over here. Although I still kept going down the rabbit hole, because each one of these, even, I mean, you could read for days on just the heist and the different types of mini games inside the game. So to go along with that and to wrap all of it into the same thing, cribs, land, kicks, they have their own in-platform social media, which ties in with the one or whatever we were mentioning earlier. But it's going to be similar to, they didn't want to compare it to Facebook. They said it was like Twitter or Discord, but it sure looked like a Facebook homepage to me, where you can connect with other people in there. You can post pictures. You know, if you win the race, you can post a picture of your guy at the finish line. You can connect with people. You can find new friends. Just a whole social media where you don't go outside of the platform and go post it on Twitter. You could actually do it in game and not have to leave, which I thought was, you know, makes sense. You're still going to probably take it, and they'll probably still have the option to post on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. But for platforms like this to be able to have it all in the game, you'll be able to focus. There's no point in me going and showing my mom on Facebook my Wilder wheels, because she's just going to think it's a picture. You know what I mean? But people on Wilder World will know and appreciate and go, oh, damn, is that the 5 ETH Wilder? You know what I mean? They're going to know that I want a car worth some value. If I told my mom I paid $20,000 for a car, she's going to fly over here and
and then try to tell her it's an asset. She's like,
yeah, no, it's okay, Mom. This will appreciate in value. So, like we said, until it gets up and going, all we're seeing is kind of their preview trailers, their videos about the future gameplay. I can't wait to actually get in there, because like everything that we've seen so far, a lot of this stuff just seems too good to be true. I mean, if the game plays as well as an Xbox and on the Unreal Engine, that it has the ability to be a very playable game. And if you can do it in VR with your haptic suit and actually be racing a car that you own with a chance to win NFTs or more cars, man, that just takes it to that whole next level. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you better figure out a way to make some money within the metaverse, because you're going to, like it or not, this is where a lot of people are going to be spending a lot of time.
Yep, 100%. In the game, there's like Axie. If you remember with Axie, they had the Axie shards, which was the governance token that was the more expensive one. And then in the game, they had the SLP, the Smooth Love Potion.
Yes.
This has a similar. This has a similar setup. The loot token is like the Smooth Love Potion, so it's the in-game. You'll be able to spend very small amounts. You know, you'll be able to spend a couple of loot. The loot token on exchanges right now is fractions of a penny. So if you're in the game and you want to buy a sticker for your car, you'll be able to spend 10 loot, you know, and get something. But outside of the game, the wild token, that's the ticker symbol for Wilder World. The wild token is at $1.18 right now. So still very, very affordable, especially in comparison to some of the bigger dollar amount coins that we've seen. And the $1.18 There's 83 million coins, so it's just under $100 million market cap. And I like to compare this to the projects that are the biggest right now. So like Axie, Decentraland, and Sandbox, they're in the $3 to $6 billion market cap range, and this is at 100 million. So like last week, a lot of room to grow if they are hitting their checkpoints on the roadmap. Some of the projects we've done last week specifically, they were nailing it. They were hitting everything. They were doing what they needed to do. This one, I won't say that it isn't hitting them, but it's almost so ambitious. I don't know. You just sort of like, show me some gameplay first. You know what I mean? Like, let's get one thing right before you start telling me. And this gets overused already in the metaverse, but there's only one movie really like it, and it's Ready Player One. But everybody keeps comparing this. They said, this is the one. This is the one that's going to be like Ready Player One. And I don't know if it's because in Ready Player One, they have the race at the beginning. But show me any actual gameplay. Like, let me actually play before we're talking about spending 12 hours in the metaverse, living your whole life. You know what I mean? So,
100%. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I saw what the market cap was on this, for as much and as ambitious as they are, and the major brands that are involved in this, and it's only $100 million market cap. And that's almost nothing compared to your major metaverses or games that are rolling out. 100 million is very small. Like that's mind blowing to me for this one.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins has made 2.5 times that much in the NFL, and he's barely ever played. I just saw he made $250 million, and he's been a backup his whole life. And the market cap for this whole project is less than $100 million. You know what I mean? Like, when you start thinking, that's obviously a lot of money to you or me, but $100 million for anything at this point, when some of these other games, when we first got started, I thought, what was it? I don't remember if it was probably Decentraland was at $3.5 billion, but it had dropped from $7 billion. And I remember thinking, well, $7 billion's not crazy, not compared to the 750 billion Bitcoin market cap.
Yeah,
but now we're down under 100.
Yeah, it's the comparability. I mean, Next Earth is 100 million, right at 100 million, and almost nobody knows about Next Earth. You have Wilder World. It's projected to be, people are calling it, the number one metaverse potential wise, and it's the same 100 mil. Like, to me, I love the tokens, but I'm not near the token guy you are. This metaverse, this project screams buy my tokens at $1.18 a token. This much hype, this much ambition, and only 100 million cap. That to me looks like a massive opportunity for explosive growth.
Right, because there's only about 80 million tokens, and there's 21 million Bitcoin. So, do the math. It's not going to take very many people finding out about this. If every person owned $80 worth of tokens, it would only take 1 million people. You know what I mean? Like, anyways, $100 million market cap. The $1.18 right now, every one of them went up November of 2021 at its all-time high. This was at $7.60 in November of 2021. So everything's come back down, which you really like those. You like to see how high up it can get, like where it goes when times are good, but then you need it to come down and kind of settle again. That's a good spot to buy. And it's also a good, it survived. It survived the drop, and now you can buy in at about $1.25 and then ride it back up. Usually, if they're hitting their checkpoints, you can assume that eventually it will get back up there. And like I was saying at the beginning during the disclaimer, my time window on investing is so much longer than some of these people. People will buy 1,000 Solana and then go, okay, is this going to the moon tomorrow? Is this going to the moon at the end of the week? Or do I have to wait till the end of the month? And it's like, man, I'm buying to acquire at this point. I'm thinking, even I feel like my timeline is kind of short when I'm talking 2030. Like I'm talking in 8 years, I want this stuff to really start maturing. In the real world and real world investing, an 8-year timeline is not that far down the road. But that's just kind of what everything that I'm buying, I'm thinking, where do I think this will be, or will it even still exist in 2030? So at $1.16 a coin, you can afford to take a pretty good gamble on this one, because you're not going to lose much if it goes to zero, and who knows how high it could go. So
it's a very attractive. There's a lot about it that's very attractive. The coin itself is very, very attractive to me, based on just the numbers. If you're looking at the numbers, and I don't quite understand how to read the metaverse numbers yet and what to look for, but this one screams buy me as a token.
Well, and I know that there is something also about the ticker, and just the little ticker symbol wild, to be able to buy a wild coin. You know what I mean? Like, people like that kind of stuff. And it really does. Oh, if right now you could buy 100 wild coins for less than $120, that might be kind of cool just to throw into the wallet, just in case. You know what I mean? You never know. It's got the good, like smooth love potion. That makes me want to buy it just for the giggles when somebody sees my wallet. Right. Goes, did you buy smooth love potion? I'm like, I bought a lot of smooth love potion.
Yeah, just telling your friends about it at dinner makes it worthwhile.
Right. Explaining that to my mom on Thanksgiving, be like, well, sorry, Mom, I would have flown home more this year, but I spent all my money on smooth love potion.
Right. Yeah. Even if you lose your ass, it's still fun to say, well, I would pay for dinner, but I lost my ass on smooth love potion tokens.
Right. When you're talking to traditional investors and they're going, oh boy, my Russian stocks took a hit and my oil's doing good. And I say, oh boy, I know what you're talking about. I spent half my mortgage on smooth love potion, and it is all gone. I done used it all up.
Really thought that was going to be the one to make me rich.
I bought a pair of sneakers on the internet for my digital person to wear. And so
what are we doing with our life?
That's the best part, is you are supposed to, the whole idea of this is enjoyment. This is like a video game where you get to participate in. If you're not having fun while researching and digging into the metaverse, then you're missing the whole point. There's a reason no avatar needs any shoes. You know what I mean? The Nintendo Wii has avatars that don't even have the bottom half of their body, and it's still a playable game, but it's like, the point is to have a good time. The point is to decorate it the way you want. The point is to get in there and let your personality show. Pick the car that you want. Pick the clothes that you want. You know what I mean? Like, have a good time while you're doing this. And stuff, when you start looking at Wilder wheels, you're like, they get it. You know what I mean? Like, take the time to make a quality. That's another thing that I don't want to hate on Facebook Horizons every week. But you see their avatars, and you know what I mean? It just looks like a crappy early 90s video game, like an 8-bit style video game.
Yeah. And
then you look at Wilder wheels here, and it's just beautiful. I'd love to have that car in real life.
It's a no-brainer. Speaking of having a lot of fun, and speaking of wild tokens, spoiler alert, it is that time of the month for our giveaway, and we're going to be giving away some wild tokens for this month.
All right.
So I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, I was just daydreaming about driving through Wilder World out of Miami.
Yeah.
Heading to Kansas.
Yeah, oh yeah. Living the dream. That's what the metaverse is for. That's what it's all about. So just like last month, I think we're going to go ahead and do it the same, right? You share our episode, make a comment, send us a link, show us that you shared it. Not a big deal, but just spread the love a little bit. Get this episode out, or even one of our other episodes if you prefer. and just let us know you shared it. And then at the end of the month, we're going to draw from those that shared some of our content and pick a winner.
Yep. Then you just give us your wallet address, your public address to send some wild tokens to, and I'll send you some wild and maybe even some smooth love potion if depends on how many people are liking your post about our post. So
probably ought to reiterate, you're going to send it via wallet. You won't be showing up at your house.
I'm going to bring it over and say, I've got you some smooth love potion.
Can I come in?
Yes.
No. Episode number 10 next week. We are, I think you can, we're officially YouTube stars. I think episode number 10 next week.
Episode 10.
That makes it official.
That is a good point. I saw we had hundreds of views now on our YouTube analytics, which means somebody's watching these videos. So
yeah.
in a year, when we have 1 million subscribers, we're going to come back and laugh that we've done 9 episodes and had hundreds of views. But while we're banging off the dust, now's a good time to, 1, win the competitions and win the free prizes, and 2, get to know us and our actual personalities before we have to start shaving things down and not posting South Park clips. Now's the time to really get in and see who you're dealing with, because this is Ben and Ryan before we've been polished. So so once we're hard to reach celebrities, it's going to be harder to get a hold of us.
Yeah, you don't want to be looking back and saying, I should have invested in Wilder World. I should have reached out to Ryan and Ben before they were too famous.
That's right.
Spending all their smooth love potion all around the world.
Yeah. Once my NXTT goes to 2 million, I'm moving to one of the fake properties that I own and retiring.
Change your name to
Ben Bay Beach.
Okay, there you go. I'm looking forward to it. Just remember us small people when you get there.
All right. You ready for the trailer for next week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Next week's episode will be Star Atlas. I don't know how it's taken us 10 weeks to get to this one, because this is one that we've been talking about since episode 1. Star Atlas looks interesting. Hopefully the volume's good for you. If not, I'll fix it in post-production. But here we go. Star Atlas, right off the bat, looks like James Cameron's Avatar.
Yes, it does.
Miles, the station reported a distress signal last night. They think it came from your dad's ship.
The signal, it came from past the outer ring. How is that even possible?
His ship has been reported missing for 20 years now. Pretty sure he's not coming back.
We go there, we might not come back.
What is this place?
This is going to change everything. They found out we have the map. They're gonna kill us for it.
If that's the case, there's only one thing we can do.
History has begun.
I was just thinking that. Another killer catchphrase there.
Yeah, that's a good one.